Hey, folks, welcome to the Generational Gap. I am Robert, your resident Gen Xer, and right there is John, your resident Millennial. John, how are you tonight?
Doing all right. Just, chilling, ready for a little, shooting the shit, I guess.
Yeah, yeah. It's a big day going on. I don't know if
Yeah,
you've heard news, stories, rumors.
heard a couple of things. Yeah.
There's some sort of thing going on this year. Hey, folks, thanks for stopping by, and please make sure and hit the like button if you like what you're hearing, hit the subscribe button if you haven't, and make sure and pop that notification thing before we get too
You.
deep into this. John, how's things been with you? Hey, I see Midget B hanging out in the chat.
What's up,
Uh,
man? So,
how's things? How was your weekend? I heard you had some fun.
I did, yeah. We actually found this archery range out in,
Part of Florida.
well, yeah, but I was gonna say it's like out in the country, and it was really awesome. I've got some videos. I just had to figure out how to download them from where they were sent to me, and I'm going to put them on the channel because they're pretty cool. So yeah, look forward to that. Yeah, it was a lot of fun. I got way better than what you guys saw in the previous videos. So
Because you didn't want to embarrass yourself in
yeah,
front of all those people.
right. That's why I put them up in the first place, right?
Well, no, I meant now. You're like, okay, I've already done the embarrassing myself in front of people.
Yeah,
Now I have to step up and get my act together with this bow,
yeah,
right?
exactly. Yeah,
This is not a
I
bad
like it
bow.
too.
I did like that bow when I saw it. It's a nice little piece. It's not bad.
Yeah, it shoots pretty well too.
It'll serve in a pinch. I think so. I think so. Better than anything I could carve out in the wilderness. Now I'll find
Yeah,
something. I'll find something and make it work. But yeah, I can't. I couldn't make something. Now it's not wood. Granted, it's
right.
it's
It's not
man-made
granite either.
material. But
Yeah,
God,
it's not
like
granite either. Huh?
yeah.
Who'd
See,
say that?
yeah. Hey,
Uh,
we need a drummer. But anyway, so maybe with a little hi-hat action. Um, but anyway, so yeah, that looked like fun. You're kind of getting my juices riled up. I gotta go get myself fixed up so I can go out and play like that.
Hell yeah.
That'll be fun.
Oh,
Um,
Midget B is admiring my sword. Damn right it is.
it
I
is a
even got a
nice.
frog for it, so I can wear it on my belt if I wanted to.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't tried it yet, but I don't know. Can't really think of a situation where I would do that, but who knows?
Going to a con. I don't think you can wear them at cons, though, can you? Not a real one. Well, that's a showpiece, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah, it's just a wall hanger.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
You don't want to do the big gay and wear a wall hanger, right?
Right.
Ron Helton in
That's
the
pretty
house.
good.
Good to see you,
Hey,
Ron.
hey.
Good to see you, Ron.
So,
So the this Iowa thing is popping off today. Have you heard about
you
this? It's a thing that happens
have you
for
seen
the
this? Have you heard
election.
about this?
Yeah,
Yes,
the
yes, I
Iowa
have seen
caucus.
and heard about it.
It's actually going on right now. They're getting everything sorted out, so they'll have numbers. Who knows? Maybe they'll start having some numbers coming in before we're done with the show. It might be interesting to see.
Well,
Most
I did see that your boy Yang is beating Biden in actually a few precincts. So that's actually pretty impressive, since the media's been pushing like
right.
both Biden and Warren and completely ignoring Yang.
Yeah.
So it's actually really impressive.
Yeah, so currently I'm just kind of I've got CBS running in the background. I'm just keeping that up. They've been putting stuff up. Their model shows Biden and Sanders split kind of 25% for each of them is where they're seeing that model, and then it playing out to Warren and Buttigieg, and
What
everybody else
stuff?
falling below 5%. But that's all neither here nor there. It's one of those things where you just got to wait and see how it turns out in the by the end of it all. Um,
Yeah.
but there's some interesting numbers that are coming through because there's been discussion that Iowa isn't such a great benchmark state, as it were. the way the way it, I don't know, the way it has in the past, which I don't see that it could have been. Um, who will give Iowans the best free shit, right?
Yeah.
Surprisingly enough, some of the entrance polls that they've done have pointed to some interesting things like that. But yeah, it's 92% of the caucus goers that they've that as from their polls are white, with 8% falling into the various minority groups. Which is very telling. I mean, it's like, okay, with the Democratic candidates that we have, there's enough diversity there when it comes to the minority approach that I don't think Iowa speaks to that proportion. For the rest of the country, how it's going to play out in other states,
Right.
many states, to be honest with you, those minority issues, those minority audiences that are in other states are definitely going to make a big difference in how the numbers fall out later on in the race. I know it'll be different here in Florida than it is in Iowa, for damn
Oh.
sure.
Oh yeah.
um,
Yeah. Absolutely.
so yeah, one of the things that's interesting, in the entrance polls, they're showing a 58% turnout by women and only 42% men, which is very interesting. That
Hmm.
in Iowa, and they've been talking to there's a lot of women farmers in Iowa that are, talking about issues with bankruptcies and the economy and getting that sorted out. But the bulk of the most important issue, 41% of people going there, their most important issue is health care. And in regards to the healthcare, like 60% of them would would be happier. I think it was like 60% would be happier with a federally run healthcare program.
Yep. So
And
it's
yeah,
Democrats for you.
right. And it's like, okay, yeah, there's a lot to be said about that. So, you whether they're representative of the country as a whole so much anymore, no, not in this varied race that we have coming into things. Um, you know, it would be interesting to see how loud of a voice Trump has in Iowa. I'll be curious to see that. I know which way the state leans to a certain extent, but you know,
Yeah, I'm sure it's got to be one of those red states, right over there in the yeah, it's Midwest Iowa. Yeah, so it's got to be one of those red states, right?
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
and that, like they're talking about, there's a lot of farm subsidies in the state because it's agriculture.
Yeah.
They're, for better or for worse, those farm subsidies became a necessity for a long time, and it's sad to say, but it is what it is. If if farmers had been allowed to grow whatever they wanted, I bet they could have been all right. They could have found crops that they could have grown that would have been worthwhile for them. But surprisingly
Yeah.
enough, in Iowa as well, not surprisingly enough, I guess, the second largest issue there is climate change, with 21% being, calling out that that's a primary concern for them. But it's like, I don't know. There's agriculture there, and I can understand that, but I don't know. I don't know that they're necessary. Are they a green state? I guess they would qualify as a green state in that sense, right? They do. They use a lot of resources, right?
Um.
Like, what's the
I
carbon
mean, yeah. I
footprint
guess.
of agriculture in this country?
Yeah. I mean, I guess it would use like those huge tractors and stuff. So, but hmm. Yeah. I don't know.
But now, true to the Democratic vein, 60%, again, 60% of the turnout at the caucus have said that the main thing they're looking for in a candidate is someone who can beat Donald Trump.
Yeah.
With 30 something percent saying it's about issues that they align with, 60% just want somebody who can beat Donald Trump. I'm like,
Yeah. Which
well,
is
that's a lot to put that's a lot of eggs to put in one basket right there. It's
yeah. Yeah, yeah, no, I mean that's just ridiculous. I mean, I guess I get it, because Orange Man bad, obviously, but I don't know. I think you should be more concerned with someone's, policy decisions or policy stances
Yeah,
rather than just. I think that you're the best one that can beat Trump.
and
You know what I
and
mean?
and that's
I don't know.
that's why I think it's in Trump's best interest to focus on the issues. Like when he goes through this upcoming campaign, he needs to focus on talking about the issues, not look at me, here's what I did this, I did this, I did this, look at this, look at this. We right now people are wondering what are we doing moving forward because we've become an instant gratification society. Okay, yeah, you did this, but that's gone. That was 5 minutes ago.
Yeah.
What's going to happen 5 minutes from now? What are you doing on day one for term two? This is what people want to hear now. I mean, and then you hear it constantly in the debates. On day one, this. On day one, that. Bernie's now on day one going to legalize marijuana with an executive order. He just said this yesterday or the day before going into Iowa caucuses, that he's going to
He
legalize
wasn't
it.
gonna wait. He wasn't gonna wait till 420.
No, that's Yang with letting people out of jail. He's going to push to have people out of jail and set it for 420, and then that way, you know.
I mean, while that's funny, like for the meme and everything, at the same time, you're making people, sit there for an extra 4 months for a joke.
Well, no, the 4 months allows for handling all the releases of those multiple people. I mean, you got to set a window, right? I've got to put this through. You've got
Yeah,
to have the window to put it through, and then the window for preparing to release all those inmates. You know, it's a thing.
yeah,
But
I
yes,
guess.
hey, but for a lot of people, that's gonna be that date will be early enough. They're like, sure,
Yeah,
I'll take that date. Whatever. But
yeah, fair enough.
but yeah, it's the way that they're using. I posted in show suggestions a few days ago about a charity organization that had gone out and they were pro Trump. They were lauding Trump, at this charity event, and during it they were giving away cash prizes, and they were saying they were giving out money from charity to charitable donations, but none of the people they were giving the money to were being vetted as far as their charitable need, right? But there's like, okay, this is a pro-Trump group. Somebody is behind this pro-Trump because they're sitting here talking about Trump this, Trump that. He's great. Here's free money. He's great. And they targeted, was it somewhere outside, maybe a suburb of Detroit or somewhere, Chicago, but it was a primarily African American community that they were in, giving away free money and applauding Trump and promoting Trump, and not, but it was a nonprofit charity organization. So I'm like, well, things like that get sketchy, but I mean, there's, uh, it's gonna get dicey. I want him to stick to the issues. I want him to talk about what he's gonna do and not get on this other shit. That's how he's gonna win. So if he just tries to attack the people,
Yeah.
so who do you want to see go up against him? Has that changed, or where are you at now?
Um. Hmm. I mean, I think Sanders would be really funny. Would be good. Biden would suck. Warren would just get destroyed. So yeah, probably Bernie Sanders or Yang. I mean, that would be interesting to see. Because I mean, how, like Trump likes to do his little nicknames and he likes to go
Right.
after people's reputation and stuff. Yang doesn't really have anything against him.
Right. What can he tag him with, right?
Right. Like, I'm trying to think of something, but
Yeah, there's not a lot, and that's what's beautiful about Yang. If I have to think about an opponent that I think could really stand toe to toe with him, Yang ranks right up there because what are you going to attack Yang on? You're going to
Yeah.
have to come at him with a balance to his stats, his numbers game. He's got a vicious numbers game, and if you can't come at him on that playing field, he could really do some damage to Trump. Now, Bernie, on the other hand, those two will just one or both of them will have a heart attack. I mean, well,
Yeah.
Trump will have his stroke. Bernie will have his next heart attack. I think that's what will happen if the two of them are on stage together.
Yeah. That would be interesting, especially if it happened at the same time.
Yeah, I was watching something. It was a little. I have to find it again. It was a little clip of. Oh, maybe it was. Anyway, maybe it was on Bill Maher, but anyway, it was a montage of Trump salad speak at his different rallies and stuff, where he's mushing his words and like
Yeah.
getting hung up and talking, and I'm like, wow, when you put it all together, like,
Yeah.
and you see multiple instances of this. It's like, is he all right? Is something not firing in there? But it's just he's just not a great public speaker. He's really not.
Yeah, yeah, he's not.
It's easy to get mush mouth when I know he's nervous every time he gets up there to speak because he knows he's going to say something stupid, and he has to watch it come out of his mouth, like knowing he can't stop it too. Or he
Yeah.
could, but he just wasn't able to this time. You know how that is, John, right? Like you just
I
see it
do it all
like,
the time.
and you're just like, I'll just keep my mouth open because my foot's going to be going right in there in a moment.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I do that shit all the time, stumbling on words and stuff. It sucks. Like
So,
most of the time it's because I'm trying to say like two words at the same time.
right.
Yeah, I can't pick one to say, so I'll just say both of them and it sucks.
Like Antoine.
Yeah, that was funny. You should tell our audience about that.
So I mean,
That was
on
pretty
the
funny.
on the on the CBS News, one of the correspondents that's helping cover the caucus, giving analysis, etc. His name is Antoine, but his name is spelled Ant Juan, and by aunt I don't mean your female mom's sister. It's ant, as in the insect, and Juan is not like one or OINE. It's Juan, as in your Mexican friend who wants to go get some dinner with you. Juan. So it's Aunt Juan, pronounced Antoine. And I thought that was interesting for some reason. It just really stuck out at me.
So I have a joke for you.
Uh oh. Here we go. Is this a good
Yeah.
dad joke?
Yeah.
Oh, good.
What do you call it when two Mexicans play basketball? One on one.
Wow. That's
Yeah.
racist, John.
It is a little racist.
Disavow. Disavow. One on one.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I don't know, John. All I can say is, we've got to. Can we find a libertarian to get into the race? Is there anybody that can step it up? Come on, John. You've got to be looking
Yeah.
for somebody. You got to turn me
Vermin
on to
Supreme.
somebody. Turn me on to somebody.
Vermin Supreme.
Oh, so it's and Bloomberg. I was watching. I'm seeing a couple of his commercials. I
Yeah.
guess talking about how he. Oh, have you seen some?
I saw one right before the Super Bowl started
Uh,
yesterday.
yeah, talking about
Yeah.
how great he's done. He did for New York with air quality and everything, and how he's going to lower. He can lower our emissions in America by 50%. Air emissions by within 10 years. Within 10 years, John, 50% air emissions cut. That does that sound like a lot of hefty government interaction right
Oh
there?
yeah.
Um,
Yeah, he's a Democrat. I mean,
and
want all the government.
he's buying his way in. He's using his own money and he's coming hard.
Yeah, the ad that I saw was so bad though. It was like if there was like a stock political ad, that was it.
Right. Yeah,
Like it was
it
just
had the Superman feel, right? The like that, just that classic Superman political hero kind of thing. Yeah, Bloomberg, blah, he's done this for you, and he
yeah.
can save you just like he saved New York.
And it was just like stock footage of people just doing random things. It
But
was really dumb.
was this the same? Was he the same one that instituted the sugar tax, as it were, like outlawed certain size drinks and stuff there and whatnot?
I don't know, but yeah, that's a fucking terrible idea. They called it a sweet beverage tax, I think is what they called it.
Yeah,
At least the one in Chicago. It was fucking ridiculous.
it's but it's like, okay, so I see the path though. Like,
Yeah,
we sit here and we talk about healthcare, right? You have a lot of people in this country that are concerned about healthcare and how it's going to be handled. Whether it's going to be, is the government going to provide something? How what are we doing? How do you get the costs down? And then you talk about costs, and it's like, okay, well, we have an obesity crisis in this country, and we have for decades. That drives healthcare costs up. So,
yeah,
how do you find a balance? Who do you regulate? Are you okay with me regulating people who are obese so that your healthcare costs go down?
right. You got to regulate everything
Right,
at that
but
point.
people
Yeah,
are okay with that when you give them the trade-off, right? And and then you convince them that most of these obese people are making a choice, right? They're making a
yeah,
choice. So why not, we put a tax on the stuff that they're doing. Yes, if you want to go do it, some of this stuff, yes, it's going to cost you a little bit, but you hardly ever do it. And think of the cost savings to you. But in reality, the healthcare costs are not going to go down even when they institute it. That's the
right.
reality, because there's greed in capitalism, right? I mean, there is. Uh, I don't know. It's how do this is you know the Iowa caucuses right now are a very good example to me of a group of people who have been driven to, or taught to, hold their hands out and wait for the next offering. They are very Pavlov's dogs,
Oh
in
yeah,
a sense. You ring the campaign bell and they hold their hands out. Okay, what is there for us to vote on? What gimmies are there to vote on? Because,
yeah.
of course, again, they're one of those areas who will constantly be hit by these struggles in agriculture, et cetera, that drive farm subsidies, that drive bankruptcies and poor economics.
Wow, that was a weird noise.
It's one of those weird. It's one of those places where it's very telling. It's not necessarily the people, right? How do you convince those people that not getting a handout is the best thing for them?
Yeah, and that is hard to convince people of.
Right.
You know,
You
yeah,
know,
it's very difficult
I mean,
because
there's
people are like, "Well, what do you mean? Free stuff is obviously good." you know,
right. Well, I mean,
it's
there's
just that
plenty.
what it's just that it's not free. There is a price. You might not pay every time with money, but there's definitely a price.
Well, that's the thing. You talk to farmers in the Midwest, like Iowa or any other agricultural state, and many of them will tell you that they wouldn't be there if it weren't for farm subsidies from the
Yeah,
government. My farm would have folded 20 years ago. My farm would have folded 5 years ago, if it hadn't have been for that money keeping me afloat through the hard
yeah.
times. So, yeah, I don't know how you go in as a libertarian. I don't know how you go in even as a Republican who wants to, minimize the size of government and say, okay, well, you've got to accept the fact that those aren't going to be there. You know,
Well, also Republicans don't want to minimize the size of government.
well,
They'll pay lip service to it.
they used to. Once upon a time, Republicans were more in line with smaller government. They aren't so much now. They're from a power angle.
Yeah.
Whereas the Democrats are more from an oversight, regulatory standpoint, if that makes sense. I think the
I know what you
Republicans,
mean, but yeah, they're both about gaining more power for themselves.
right.
But I know what you meant, though.
But
Yeah.
the Republicans used to not be that way. They used to preach smaller government, and they don't so much anymore. It's kind of become like a lower tier talking point. Um,
Yeah.
Helton says we need to get the government out of healthcare completely, let doctors compete in the government control of who gets to practice medicine. The cost will go down and there will be more healthcare services. The government created the healthcare problem, letting them fix it is just going to create more of a mess. Well, it's, you know, I agree that the government had a lot to do with the healthcare process.
Mhm.
Insurance companies, what's been allowed to happen with insurance companies is purely purely the backbone of healthcare issues in this country. It's not to say that the 80s forward. I think it was 80s when we really started becoming a litigious society as well. Saw a lot more lawsuits. The 90s were definitely a sue me, sue you kind of
Yeah.
decade. And it set a tone. Malpractice insurance is astronomical for a lot of doctors, et cetera. But
Yeah. Absolutely.
so these, it's hard to really, okay, let doctors compete, but does that mean that the insurance companies need to go away? Because when it's all said and done, I can't afford to pay a doctor even if he is competing, because the competing prices are still not going to be that easy for the common paycheck to paycheck worker in America. That's going to be hard to do. So do we still need insurance companies so that we can find some way to foot the bill? It gets tricky and dicey when you start looking at all the ramifications of what you've got to do. But if you've got insurance companies, you need government oversight, or those bastards just get out of hand.
Yeah. Yeah. For sure. Um, Ron Helton's over here making a good point. The Democrats are about creating jobs for their parasitic buddies. Both parties suck. Absolutely. Insurance is not healthcare, and besides, the insurance laws were co-written by the insurance companies. Yeah, that's also true.
Sure, but
Yeah.
once government got involved, then it became a game of who could get the most power, like the
Yeah.
government versus the insurance companies, and it's been a power game ever since. But I just see how egregious everyone gets with the costs of healthcare. Um, it's not an easy thing. The insurance game is all fucked up, and going the government trying to offer any kind of health insurance as well on their side through the Affordable Care Act failed miserably. Sorry, thanks for trying, but you failed. So it
Yeah.
is what it is. Um,
And Ron Helton's saying what I've said from the beginning of this show. I mean, like since we started doing our podcast, repeal all the insurance laws and let the free market sort out the bad ones. Exactly.
Now I have to tell you, I would say it was probably 20 years ago, roughly. I remember I was able to get insurance in this state just through a private, not through an employer or anything, just on my own. And I was going to get that thing for under $200 a month. And I was like, that. So I was like, yeah, sign me up. That's good insurance. That was cheaper than I was going to pay through my company. And I was like, this is
Yeah.
amazing. It wasn't a horrible deductible. It wasn't anything worse than what I would have had on my employer's insurance. But that kind of thing is just not feasible anymore. Now it's become a game of pre-existing this, that. What's your health now? What was your health then? What are you doing? What's your daily
Yeah.
life like? This, that, and the other. Oh, okay. Well, we're going to calculate 3,700 different matrices, key points, and then we're going to come to a conclusion about what your premium's going to be. Uh, you
Right.
know, get your check handy.
Oh man. Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know, man. But like I said, we've self-created this. We've allowed this to happen, like people that sit and we look at things and we say, okay, taxation is theft, or the handouts that are all the different social programs. But again, we in a perfect world, we have a system set up where we could have made changes to this. We could have stopped it. Am I correct? I mean, isn't that how the system is supposed to be set up to play? To where we can bring in the people that change these things
Yeah.
and have already should have already started making significant changes to it.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the major problem is, career politicians who don't really want to rock the boat too much and then, get voted out or have people that they're going to be working with their whole lives be pissed off at them. Not to mention whatever, backdoor, or was that what it is? Backdoor dealings or
Yeah.
behind the scenes kind of deals. Um, that's a huge problem, right? Just corruption, really, in general.
Well, I'm not going to say that a lot of it isn't just, it doesn't fall to look, bitching about what's going on doesn't do anything if you don't walk into a booth and vote something that might make a change. It's the only power we have is to make a vote, right? And try and put somebody in office who'll make the changes. But I don't know, man. I mean, that doesn't even seem. Wow, you're in a rut, buddy. People should be able to pay for their office visits and carry catastrophic insurance for major illnesses. It is still not too late to end this insanity. I agree that people should be able to pay for it, but it's not. It's not viable sometimes for people anymore. It's really not. I mean, when
Yeah.
you've got to, that's $300 to $500 for insurance. I know what my rates are, and getting older doesn't help. Getting older does not help. It's, fuck,
Yeah.
I mean, to be honest with you, I have come to the conclusion that whatever insurance you have in your 30s, that's where you lock in. You don't, and you never let it go because, it becomes more expensive. It becomes more of a tricky deal. I don't know. I know it's god awful expensive just for my wife to add onto hers. You go and do a family plan at an employer, and that shit gets crazy expensive.
Oh, yeah.
But Bloomberg, he can fix all that by cutting air pollution, air quality. He can fix that. Air quality is the way to go. Make things more green. He's going to create lots of jobs with alternative energy. And all he needs is for you to vote for him, John.
I'm not going to
He
do
is
it.
willing to pay any amount of money to get any rules changed he needs to get your vote.
No.
Or,
No, I'm going with Vermin Supreme. I
or
think people heavily underestimate the value of a pony-based economy. So everyone's going to get a free pony if you vote. If you get Vermin Supreme in, uh, he's going to take all your guns, but he's going to give you better ones. So he's going to take them all, but he's going to give you back better ones. Um, and yeah, that's pretty much all I know about him. Well, that and he wears a Wellington boot on his head, which is awesome. So yeah, vote
Ron,
for Vermin Supreme.
see, Ron's telling me I should just go ahead and give up and die. He's tapping right into my depression streak. Mini
Who's Mini
Mike.
Mike?
That's what
Oh, Mike.
Trump calls
Right,
Mike
right, right.
Bloomberg.
Right, fair enough.
Oh my God,
Yeah, Vermin Supreme.
those
The
two
way to
have
go.
come out swinging. How about Trump having Bernie's back a little bit with that? Talking shit about Bloomberg and like here they go again, sticking it to Bernie, just like in
Yeah,
2016.
that's actually really good of him to bring that up. It's very smart.
Hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know, man. I was like, good job, Trump. Damn it, I hate it
Blue
when I have
butt.
to give him a good job. I give him a kudos or any of that. I
Yeah,
love it, right? I love it. Bloombutt is a tyrannical hypocrite. Yeah,
blue butt.
I
I like
could
it.
I could imagine that he probably is. But in 10 years, 50% better air. I'm just saying, you know,
Yep. And the efficiency of the slave mines are going to be off the charts. It's going to be awesome.
Dude, dude, they're going to pay you big bucks to go join up and install solar panels and wind turbines.
Turbines.
Yeah, they're going to pay you big bucks, and you're just going to be a general laborer. You're not even going to have to know anything. You're going to go and you're going to make big bucks.
What that? I wouldn't want to work outside in Florida.
Oh,
Hell no.
no, 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 no. You'll have your choice of states. They'll put you all over the place. You'll be able to have your pick. There's going to be so many jobs created. It's not even funny.
It's a little funny. I think it's just a little bit funny.
No, no. Yeah, I don't know, man. Coronavirus. I don't know. Can you fix that? That's what I want to know. But they're seeing some positive effects. I think in Thailand they've had some medications that have been working and kind of letting people live through the virus, because basically if it runs its course, if you just let it run its course and you can survive that, a lot of the people that have died have had pre-existing conditions, something already going on
Weren't they usually
that it
either really old?
exacerbated.
Weren't they usually really old or really young?
Well, yes and no. I mean, yes, but like I said, some of them have just had some pre-existing conditions that combined with the symptomatics of the coronavirus, you know, perfect storm to choke them up to die. But they already had, diabetic, whatever the case
Yeah.
may be. Um, uh, he probably is. The asshole wants to deprive us of the right to arm ourselves, and he is surrounded by no less than 2 armed bodyguards. Mike is a bad person. I
I actually
agree.
kind of want to be surrounded by at least 2 armed bodyguards. That would be awesome.
Yeah, but you want to be a king. You don't want to be a president.
Well, yeah.
There's a difference.
Yeah.
Um,
I would be the most benevolent king. I'll
yeah,
just like,
I'm with you,
I'll,
Helton.
I'll just be like, I'm going to leave you alone or else. Do
Uh,
whatever you want or else.
right. Yeah, Helton, I'm not. I think it's appalling that they're making any kind of changes to the debate stage that would allow Bloomberg to slide his ass in there. It's going to piss me off quite regularly. Yes.
No, I have not seen that video around Hilton. The Chinese built the
Um,
hospital for the virus in 10
No, I
days.
haven't seen it. I've been wanting to check it out. I knew that it was supposed to have been completed. Yeah, it's supposed to be some badassery but I mean, they've got a few
Was it
people
like
that they
3D
can
printed
tell.
or something?
I don't think so. I think it was all paneled up and stuff. But this
Have you
is
seen those though?
huh?
Have you seen those?
Yeah,
The 3D printed house?
yeah,
That's insane.
yeah. Um, it's
Crazy.
something I wanted to point out. Someone in China, in the Chinese government, some woman, so she must not be very high up in the government, just a mouthpiece. But anyway, she came out and they're laying blame at our feet for the negative impact of coverage. How that we cause
Like a panic.
more of a problem with the
Hmm.
coronavirus by the way we addressed it, and we didn't really address it badly. I mean, you know, we really didn't, but it was kind of, it's like, really, because we come out and say something, and she said part of it was because we didn't our immediate response wasn't to come in with aid, and she's like, we need things like hospital masks and this and that, and I'm like, wait a minute, you're fucking China. Do you know where we would get those masks from?
Yeah.
We would order them from fucking China and
Yeah.
we would send them to you. So why don't you just skip the middleman and go get your own shit? You got enough people there. You've got the resources. Why aren't you producing the shit out of stuff? You have your people under your thumb. Start producing. That's what we did, right? What did we do during World War II? Women went to work and helped build the ships and the munitions and the everything that their men needed to go fight that war. Step
Yep.
up, China. Make some goddamn hospital masks. I think you've got the materials, and I think you've got the people. Step up and do it. Don't sit there and blame us for our negative approach to this and having some impact on it, on the negative spin on it and the panic. Fuck you. How about you've got a disease because you've been eating animals that people shouldn't be eating in the present day and age in
Yeah.
some really horrifically unsanitary environments, no less.
Yeah.
So, yeah, sorry, China. I don't buy into we should have jumped to the point of here, here. Here's help right away. Here's things. What do you need? What do you need, China? We're besties all of a sudden. We're besties.
Right. Of course we're besties.
Uh, that kind
But
of
yeah.
shit. That kind of shit bothers me.
And
It wasn't like Trump was like, this could solve a lot of our trade issues. He didn't say that. He didn't say anything like that. He was like, what do we need to do? And shutting down flights. They're pissed about shutting. What the fuck do you expect us to do? We're fucking America. We have
right.
a lot of we have a lot of people going back and forth between China. Yeah, we're shutting that down. Sorry, you
Yeah.
think anybody else in the world isn't going to do that too?
Just makes sense. Yeah.
Everybody's going to get on board with shutting your ass down. Nobody wants your people right now because you're sending out bad people. Sorry, it is what it is.
Right.
Check yourself, right? Check your temperature, take a pill, drink some OJ, finish up this fucking Corona shit. Move on to some Modelo. Go on.
Yeah.
Oh, now they're going to piss me off. Plus all the disinformation. There's a significant difference between 7 to 8,000 people a couple of days ago, and it was actually 75 to 80,000 people.
Yeah.
Significant difference in
Yeah.
infected.
A little bit. Yeah, a little bit.
Insane. Whatever. I don't trust China anymore. I trusted them right up till right just the last couple of days. They were somebody I could really just hung out with. Uh, but no, not now. No, I don't
No,
trust
not anymore.
anything. I don't trust anything. Well,
Yeah.
except these products that I'm probably going to be using in the next couple of hours before I go to bed. Various things as I look around and go, oh, China's here already. you know.
Yeah.
I mean,
They
sad to
already own
say,
the country.
right? Look around you, John. Find something that's not made in China.
Any of these swords back here, none of those are made in China. Where there it is. None of those are made in China.
There you go.
Yep.
I am glad to see Trump making heads explode, but he really does say some dumb stuff, and the way he lets the neocons trick him into more military skirmishes is disturbing. It is. I told you
Yeah. I
over.
mean, he hasn't led us into a new war yet, which is really good.
Well,
And he's had plenty of opportunity.
I
And
told.
there's plenty of times where even I thought, like, ah, shit, yep, here it goes, and then nothing.
Well,
So
I'm watching. I'm just kind of keeping a passive eye on what's going on in Syria because I'm telling you, that place is set to become the next Afghanistan if we're not careful, especially with the back and forth where the little pushes and shit we're doing with Russia over there. That's the problem, you
yeah,
know. And we know how it is. You get into some bullshit with that with them, then you sit around skirmishing around for the next 20 years.
yep. And yeah, Ron Houghton's saying that's not why the left or Dems hate him. They hate him because they wanted an evil bitch of a woman to be the first woman president, but she lost. Yeah, no, I mean that's what it is. I mean they're just salty, and like they've been salty for 4 years. I mean it's actually insane how it's been able to keep up and even escalate since then. It's pretty fucking insane.
I just I don't like that it's just turned into one big game now. I mean, we look at it now, and you don't see it as a constitutional, a process of the Constitution, a function of the government anymore. It's just a game that's played by the politicians, you
Yeah.
know. And the real gravity of the whole thing is literally the person in charge. And I think Trump has been an excellent example of what a person in charge can do, um, simply from not even from what he's done while he's been in office, but the conjecture of what he's capable of doing by many people. Like everybody, when you think about President Trump now, it is common in my head to think, what is this man capable of? What would he do? What will where will reason check him?
Yeah.
Not to say it has to be something crazy, but just enough crazy is enough to be too crazy, right? Um, and mainly it's because, as Helton says, he says things. He doesn't always,
Yeah.
that filter. That's a tough row to hoe when you know that you are, this is what you're putting in office these days. That as they always say, the lesser of two evils. Well, that's become the common choice anymore. It's become the common choice. You know, 60% of Iowa caucus members just want somebody who can beat Trump. They don't give a fuck who it is. Just beat
Yeah.
Trump, right?
And that's just really dumb.
Right.
I mean,
Well, the same could be said about why Donald Trump is in office. Just didn't want Hillary to win. A lot of people just did not want Hillary in
no, I
office.
mean that's absolutely true.
Um,
Yeah.
so again, I go back to maybe Yang's right. Donald Trump's just a symptom of a greater problem. He just
Yeah.
he was the result of some things. You know, where do we we got to get back to the root of things. Now, of course, he ties that in with a plethora of give me for the American people. He's pandering and feeding into that. I get it. But surprisingly enough, we may be seeing that some of that pandering is paying off. There's enough hands out there waiting. It's an odd one, John. We're in an odd place right now. And Ron Helton
Yeah.
is sure that it's all going to collapse soon, so it doesn't really much matter.
Um. You see, I don't know. I don't think it's gonna collapse. I don't think anything's really gonna collapse. It might change drastically.
I think.
Maybe not for the better, but I don't think we're gonna collapse.
Well, I quite honestly think that Donald Trump is definitely inflating a bubble right now. I mean, he's got his hand on the air pump, and he's blowing this thing up right now. And is it in a good or bad way? When will it pop? How does it pop? What happens with it? Because he's telling us these great numbers, but at the same time, he's I'm doing this, I'm doing this, I'm doing this, but the deficit is still climbing. I mean, we're still going very quickly. I mean, over $2 trillion. I think we're at higher in debt since he became president. Which you hear his numbers, and I know that he exaggerates. Because
Yeah.
in less than a month's time, he went from 1 trillion to 2.5 trillion in military spending. And I'm
Yeah.
like, okay, so what's the real number? But still, that sounds a lot like how much our deficit went up. So, fuck. You know, is he pumping up a bubble right now that is going to pop on us? They're wondering, a lot of speculation in economists about when the next recession is going to hit because the signs are popping.
Well, I mean, they're only saying that because of Trump, because
No,
they don't like Trump.
no. I'm talking economists that are actually just watching the market, watching the statistics. Seeing these indicators. Market indicators, like they're just kind of like traffic has indicators, and you keep the flow going by reading those indicators. Well, the market has these indicators, and they're like, when we see this happen, blah blah blah, in this market phase, this is usually, an indicator of a recession in the economy. Whether it's going to be a big one or not, they can't
Yeah,
necessarily say, but it's a signal of a downturn. But they don't always
yeah.
hold true. It's crazy, and yes, spending is that's where we really have to look at everything. It's not just gimmies that is eating up a lot of our spending.
No, that's not even really that much of it compared to, especially compared to like the military spending. Um, which that's kind of like a double-edged sword. The military spending, because one, it lets us, pretty much be the hegemon of the world, but at the same time, you know, we really don't need a military that big. However, I wouldn't want somebody else to be the hegemon of the world.
Well, it's one of these things where it's, I have to ask, okay, if it's a large number, how much of that is upgrading military? Are we making a larger military or are we upgrading? I would be interested to see that number.
Well,
Um,
I mean, both, right? We're doing, R&D and, recruiting. And some of those recruiting bonuses are awesome.
right, but that's what I'm
You
saying.
can, if you qualify, you can get like something like $30,000 recruiting bonus. It's
Well,
fucking insane.
I mean, ultimately, what my point is, I would like to see, if it's just arbitrarily $2 trillion, how much of that, if 1.5 trillion of that 2 trillion is going to upgrading to more current technology, etc., that is somewhat more acceptable than
Hmm.
growing the military by another $1.5 trillion and only, uh, you know, uh, upgrading by 500 billion.
Yeah.
That's two different things to me. Uh,
Well, we know that it's growing though because we just added a new branch. I mean, technically it's a Department of the Air Force, the Space Force,
right.
but I mean, yeah, so we have a brand new branch. I'm sure it's very small,
Right.
but
Well, they had to apportion a lot of money to that. I mean, there are
yeah.
some very specific things that have gone on that uh, have pointed to a necessity for large expenditure. There was something else that just bounced through my head, and then you said something about Space Force and drove it out, but something else, militarily wise, that we would have seen a decent expenditure on to put it in place. But I think that the government spending, on a whole, there's so much, when everybody's going to kick back and say, how much have the Democrats spent on their useless investigations over the last 4 years?
Yeah.
So what's been going on there? Where's how much of that money? But that son of a bitch has got a hell of a travel budget too.
Yeah.
Golfing is not cheap for the president.
Right.
Yeah, I've
Yeah.
seen I've seen some of the travel numbers on that, and I'm like, damn, that costs how much to get him down there? Maybe he should have his travel home, like, I don't know, in Maryland. That makes so
Yeah.
much more sense. Like 30 minutes outside of D.C. That's where
Yeah.
you need to be, buddy. It's costing too much to go play golf down Florida way. Sorry, it's just
Yeah.
you know.
Absolutely.
All right, but anyway, so I'm tired of hearing your shit, John. I
Yeah,
don't
I know.
know.
I've talked way too much.
Right. I don't know about Ron Helton. He said he was thirsty, so I don't know if that meant he was getting something to drink or if he was going out looking for a woman.
Who
Um,
knows?
you know,
Or
I
whatever.
don't know what thirsty means anymore without an emoji.
Right. Oh man.
But so just remember, pay attention to what happens in the Iowa caucuses because they will tell you what you want to know about your choice for your Democratic nominee. Until we get to New Hampshire and that other state that matters or whatever that they do, because there's three caucus states, right, that we deal with:
I think so. Yeah.
New Hampshire, Iowa, and yeah, that third one that you were talking about.
Yeah. Yeah. The third one that I already mentioned by name, so I don't have to do it again.
Exactly.
Right.
Uh, John, I do think we should go ahead and wrap this up, and that means you're going to need to tell these people places they can find us, things like that. You know the drill.
Yes, I do know the drill. Um, Everything is down in our description. You can find our Twitter, which is at the Gen Gap P. Find our Discord server, which is linked down there. Find freedomscoop.com, where you can find all of our videos, as well as on YouTube, of course. But over there, you can also find other creators like J. Edgar and Stephen Ignoramus. And you can also buy our t-shirts, which I'm not wearing today, but hanging up over here. Over here. And you can put in the promo code GenGap and get 15% off. So please do that. That would be awesome.
15%?
15 whole percents.
That is nice. That's
Yeah.
that's nice. I like that.
We're
All right.
crazy. We're just giving them away.
So outside of that, we're going to get the hell out of here. This has been another rousing episode. Rousing, not arousing, just
Right,
rousing,
just rousing.
episode of Shooting the Shit. We'll be back again on Friday at 8:30 for our regular episodic for the week. We'll probably be. I don't know. I don't know what there's going to be in the news to talk about once the impeachment's done. That'll be done. Maybe we'll talk a little bit about the State of the Union. That'll be
Yeah.
fun. Who knows? Who knows?
Perhaps.
But outside of that, we'll be back again next Monday as well, 9 p.m. Eastern time for another episode of Shooting the Shit. You never know. Maybe the State of the Union will be so awesome we'll have to pop in for a quickie. Always keep your eyes out for that. Make sure you hit the notification button to make sure you're hearing us when we're popping out. And hit that like button, hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. Thanks for stopping by, Ron Helton. Ron, don't tell me to stop smoking. You can. What?
Be nice.
What?
Be
What?
nice to our,
I just
nice
want
to our audience.
I just want to live my life, Ron. I just want to live my life. Okay. Go walk instead. You will feel better. I wish I had never started smoking in 15 years. Quit this July. Well, congratulations on quitting.
Congratulations, yeah.
And don't get me wrong. I don't know. It's the hardest thing I've ever had to do is dealing with smoking because I've tried to quit and it's all the different angles I've gone has been very difficult. I just haven't been able to do it. And you're right, I do need to, but fuck you, it's my life. Just don't step on my
Be
liberty.
nice to Ron.
Hey, don't step on my liberties, pal.
Hey, he's
No.
not saying you can't do it.
No, I love you, Ron. I appreciate you saying, but it just FYI, I do normally do a lot of walking, even as a smoker.
Yeah, it's true. He does.
I am only impeded by right now with that because of my medical situation. Otherwise, I would probably be walking at least 15 miles a week. That's about standard for me.
In the snow, uphill both ways.
Both ways, John.
Yes.
And if you don't know what Florida snow is like, I'm telling
Oh,
you.
dude. It's like snow, but it's mud instead.
Right. Full of gators. Mud full
Yeah.
of gators. All right, well, I'm going to get the hell out of here, John. Get the hell out of here. Thank you very much for stopping by, folks. Ron Helton, much appreciated seeing you here. Great conversation tonight.
Yep.
All right, we'll see you again on Friday. Until then, peace out, everyone.
Yep. See you guys.